Hello and welcome to this episode of Microchips, and on the bench today we have a pair of realistic noise cancelling microphones. I picked these up from a couple of different places, so let's see what we can do with them. But before we start, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, join Facebook, join Patreon, buy me a coffee, have a look at my website. And now a quick word about today's video sponsor, PCBWay. PCBWay is a China Shenzhen-based PCB manufacturer and printed circuit board assembler with more than a decade in the field of PCB prototype and fabrication. They offer a wide range of services including 3D printing, CNC machining, sheet metal fabrication and much more. PCBWay also offer a prototype PCB assembly service with component sourcing and online quote, with 24-hour delivery services. PCBWay is committed to meeting all of your PCB needs. They offer quality, on-time delivery and competitive pricing. 1 to 2 layer boards start for as little as $5 with 24-hour turnaround. Get an instant quote today by visiting PCBWay.com or click on the link below to check them out. So thank you PCBWay for sponsoring this video, and let's get on to these microphones. So we're just taking the backs off, have a look for any of the usual corrosion, and there's no corrosion in the back, everything looks okay, a little bit dirty but nothing to worry about. As you can see from these microphones, one of them's got no plug on it, and the strain relief's popped out at the bottom, but that shouldn't be a problem to get back together. So I'm just carefully taking these apart and having a look how they actually come apart, and I've managed to get the front off one of them, and we've got some really crusty foam that's turned to dust there, so we need to get rid of that. Don't know if it's caused any other damage. So I'm just carefully taking apart, because they're quite tightly packed inside these units. And there we go. And there's the mechanism for detecting if there's a battery in there, because unlike some other power microphones, these microphones can actually be used with or without a battery. So that's actually quite handy. So there's the back off the first one. Nothing looks untoward inside. As you would expect, a couple of switches, some components. Yeah, everything looks okay. So I've disconnected the front LED and the battery test switch, because I'm going to need these off, because I'm going to be stripping the fronts down. So let's take off the back of the second one. It should just be exactly the same inside. So we'll take away the back, take away the mechanism for the battery detection. Let's say we need a new microphone plug for this one. A little bit fiddly to get apart, but once you're in, there's no problem. So looking at it, there's a microphone element in the middle, lots of space around the outside. Yeah. Okay, and we need to get that switch off again, get the wires off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refurbish the front grille on both of them. So I've took the first one off, and to get these out you have to gently pry around and give it a gentle pull, and it breaks the glue, just like so. So we need to clean that black felt that's inside, and as you can see we take it out and yuck, that's yeah, that's pretty gross. But luckily we can just wash that and it will be fine. So in Microchips tradition, on with the foam cleaner and the paintbrush, and we'll give the exterior components a good clean. And we'll do the same to the fronts. Give them a good cleaning. Just like so. I mustn't forget the battery lid. So yeah. Very nice. That's all our external parts cleaned. So we're going to use some contact cleaner in the switches. Not sure whether it needs it, but you know, it's always nice to put some new switch cleaner in there. So what we'll do is we'll put a little bit of switch cleaner in and we'll work the switch. And then we'll add a little bit of WD-40 in there just to add some lubrication, because this contact cleaner likes to dry out any lubrication that's in there. And we don't want any unnecessary wear on these switches, because I'm sure they're unobtainium these days. And if we were to wreck one of these switches, I think it'd be game over. So after spraying the switch cleaner in, we're just going to add a little bit of WD-40 just to make sure that the switches are well lubricated. So here's the metal grills after a quick spray and a good wash. So I've sprayed them with some black paint and I've put those in the sink and washed them. But what we'll do is we'll turn them inside out as well. And there. I think they've turned out pretty good. They definitely look better than they did. There's no rust or anything showing. So now for reassembly, we're just going to use some E8000 glue. I'm going to pop it into the slot where the grill come from, should we say. And then we're going to reattach the grill just the same way as when we removed it. So it's a little bit fiddly this. You have to press the grill in a certain place to get it to actually seat into place. But once it's been forced down, everything sits into place nicely. Got to make sure the top is pushed down. It was that top corner that was giving me trouble. So we'll do the same again with the other microphone. We'll put some glue in it and we're just going to put the grill back in. I think these grills have turned out quite nice. They definitely look better than when I started. I'm sure after 40 years of use, you know, they deserve a little makeover, should we say. So we'll just need to reconnect the switch and the earth for the grill. So putting some fresh solder on there. I've remembered which way round they go. So this is just battery test and nothing else. The microphone should work without it. But you know, we like to have full functionality of these. Now the solder was a little bit crusty on this and was causing me a little bit of trouble. But eventually we do get it to solder on. Now if you notice, those switches are actually melted into place, so they're not going to come out very easy. And there, we've got those connections soldered back on, and we'll reconnect the earth that goes to the front grille, or the negative, or whatever. It's nice to see a well-made microphone. Now this was the really tricky part, was reassembling it and putting that battery detection mechanism back in. This really had me thinking for a little while on the best way to do it, because the battery mechanism has to go through the centre of the spring, so it won't go on like that. So you kind of have to put it halfway, then feed it through, and then put the circuit board back on this way. Doing it the other way, it cannot be done, and as you can see, it's quite fiddly. Now the last job, we're going to replace the microphone plug, because this plug has got one of those screw-on ones, just like that, with no grub screw in the centre. And I always find that these things come loose. Plus I wanted to inspect the wiring that was inside, and the wiring is fine. And I'm going to wire one of these up for Cybernet, and I'm going to wire one of these up for Uniden. So I've got both types that can be used on different radios here in the shack. So there's our replaced microphone plug, complete with its insulator that sits inside. And of course we remembered to put the metalwork on first before we soldered the plug on. And how many times have you done that? Put the plug on and then realised you've not put the metalwork back on. So in with the grub screw. We put a little bit of heat shrink over the end, just as extra grip. And there's our microphone plug fitted. Nice and secure, nice and sturdy. Now the battery that comes in these things is a 7-volt battery, and of course it's unobtainium these days. But when I got the microphone, the actual battery was still in the unit, or somebody had repaired the battery and left me with the original case of the battery. So I kept that because we're going to use it, we're going to make it look original. So you can see it's a 7-volt battery, and these things were, yeah, can't get these anymore. But what we can do is we can use these LR44 batteries, and we can put some inside the battery shell like that, and that actually makes our battery. And that just supplies enough voltage to power the microphone. Let's just have a quick quick look at the voltage. As you can see, 7.7 volts, more than enough. So putting the battery release cord back underneath, we can pop our new battery in, or should we say our refurbished battery. I've put a little bit of sellotape round the outside, and pressing the battery test we get nothing. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. So is there something wrong with my battery? So I tested the battery in the other microphone, and as you can see the battery test works on that, but nothing on the first microphone. So why have we got a problem? So just testing with the multimeter shows us that our switch is open circuit. Great, because this switch is melted into the front. As you can see, no continuity through the switch. Now the microphone will work without this switch working, but you know, we don't do that here. We like to make sure we get things all fully working. So we're going to have to try and take the switch apart somehow, because we can't get it out of the microphone due to it being melted. So we're going to have to try and bend up the metal retention that holds the actual switch mechanism in place and separate it whilst it's still in the microphone. So we took apart the switch mechanism, and immediately we can see that it's absolutely crusty. I don't know what's in there, but yeah, that's not going to work. So basically that round piece of metal just touches two terminals, and obviously there's some crust and some corrosion in there that's stopping that from happening. So I don't know what that is in there, but it's definitely disgusting. But those two small terminals need to be cleaned. So first we're going to clean it with a little bit of alcohol. Give it a clean with a toothbrush, get rid of any excess, whatever that was on there. Then we'll put some contact cleaner on it and scratch it up. So I've rebuilt it, put it back together. There we go. Battery indicators working. And it definitely works. Yep, definitely sounds good.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3.
And that switch it's still not right. It's a little bit intermittent, but it'll do. I'm not taking it apart again because that thing is brittle and fiddly. And you can hear the microphone gain going up and down from the mic. So the preamp's working. Absolutely fantastic. So there's the finished job. I think they look considerably better than what they did when we started off. I'm very happy with that. They look really, really nice. So yeah, a couple of classic microphones saved, and I definitely will be using these. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, join Facebook, join Patreon, buy me a coffee, have a look at my website microchips.net. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.